hope we are all excited to be here today. Can anyone hear me? Please, if you can hear me and you're not Adam, just do anything in the chat box so that I will know that I'm not speaking to myself today. Okay, so if you can't hear me, just do anything in the chat box so that I will know that you can hear me loud and clear. Okay, so we're going to start immediately. Fantastic. Alan confirmed that he can hear me. Princess, yeah, that she can hear me as well. Okay, so today we have an amazing topic that we are going to discuss. It basically boils down around how to start a cybersecurity career with no tech experience, right? So we're going to be talking about how we can start a cybersecurity career with no tech experience. Before now, everybody always feel, okay, how can I transition into this exact ecosystem? And we always feel, oh, this exact ecosystem is just reserved for a selected few. But today we are here to tell you how you can be able to transition to become a cybersecurity expert, right? With no technical experience. And of course, here on the call with me is an amazing cybersecurity engineer that we have. And he goes by the name Michael. So with time, I'm going to also, get to introduce who he is. All right. But before we jump right into it, I would love to know you and I would love to know where you are joining us from. Okay. So I'll just type in your name and say, okay, I'm Chukwemeka from Nigeria, or maybe, Alan from UK. Just type in anywhere you are joining us from so that we can, get to know each other. Okay. Let's keep it coming. Princess from US, amazing. Princess is joining us from the United States of America. Alan, okay, amazing. I think I need to open the chat box so that I can hear what everyone. All right, Princess from US, Alan from Nigeria, Tolu from UK, Maureen from UK, Opeyemi from Leeds, UK, Emeka from Lagos. Wow, that's fantastic. I'm also Emeka from Lagos. So it's fantastic to have my namesake on the call from the same place, right? And we have Nike from Canada. We have Rosemond, a lawyer from Nigeria. Amazing. We have Demola from France. And we have Ugo from Nigeria. So by virtue of you being on this call, you've technically connected with people across the globe, right? You've connected with amazing people across the globe. What it means that you being in UK, you can have the opportunity of connecting with people in Canada, with people in US, and of course with people that are cut across the entire globe, because this is what we also promise to offer you, right? So tonight, I also love to know if today is the first time you are joining any of our sessions, so that it will guide me on how to proceed for tonight. Okay. So I would love to know if today is the first time you are joining us for a session. If today is the first time you are joining us, just indicate by just typing in a 1 in the chat box. If you've been with our other sessions, you can just type in a 2 or type in any number as you want it to be. But I would love to know if today is actually the first time you are getting to join us in any of our sessions. Amazing. I can see a lot of 1. I can see 1 from Alan. I can see 1 from Francis. I can see 1 from Emeka, 1 from Somi, 1 from Tolu, and 1 from Princess. Amazing. It means that we have a lot of people that today is the first time they are joining us on this session tonight. And I promise you, just stay close and just what you have to do for me is just keep your biro and your pen and follow us, right? Just keep your biro and pen and follow us. We're going to walk you through everything that pertains to how to start a cybersecurity career with no tech experience, okay? But before we dive into this exactly, I also love to know what we want to take out of this session, right? So for me, it might be, okay, how I can, earn higher, how I can be a cybersecurity expert. So I would love to know what you want to take out of this session. So just put it in the chat box also, so that I can pen it down and make sure that we cover that exact area that is your own pain point of being here, right? So just type in the chat box what you want to take out of this session, so that it will guide what we will be discussing tonight with Michael. Okay, so let's keep it coming. All right. While it's coming up, let me rectify my screen. and make sure that I am sharing the right slide. Okay, so it will come up shortly again. Okay, amazing. I can see a lot of comments in the chat box already. Can see a lot of comments in the chat box already. So I'm going to pick all those comments so that I'll be sure and who can speak to it. Hi, Michael. I hope you are there. So Dre said, can I have the contact of the moderator, please? I'm Dre. Oh, Dre. So Dre, my colleague Aimwa is dropping the attendance sheets in the chat box. Okay, so what I can do is to make sure you put down your email in that exact attendance sheet. So what it means is that you are going to get the recording of this session, right? You get the recording of this session. And of course, the slide that we are also using, you also get it at the end of the session. So please, this is for everyone. Make sure that you put your name in that exact attendance sheet so that you get everything that we are using tonight for this exact session. Okay, while my screen is coming up, I'm going to quickly pick things that we have dropped in the chat box. Okay, so let's walk through it. Don Kenny said that he wants to be an expert in cybersecurity. Amazing, fantastic reason to be here. You want to be an expert in cybersecurity, and that's 100% a genuine reason to be on this call. So we are going to walk you through everything that you need to know regarding how you can become an expert in the field of cybersecurity. And Princess also said that she wants to work in cybersecurity remotely and be an expert. Fantastic reason. Emeka said, would love to be an expert in cybersecurity. I love the way we are all using the word expert. It means that possibly we already have a beginner knowledge in this exact domain, and we are now looking to expand that knowledge to the expert level. Okay, Michael said cybersecurity is my dream tech career, and I hope this will be impactful. I promise you, Michael, stay tuned to the call, and you are definitely going to get 100% impact from what we are going to talk about tonight. Okay. Okay, Imwad has dropped the attendance form, and then Alan said how to work in cybersecurity remotely and be an expert. Somi said how to break into cybersecurity without a tech background. How to break into cybersecurity without a tech background. This is amazing, right? And that's actually the topic for tonight. So we are definitely going to, scratch that exact area and demystify all the myth that we have relating to this is what happened in cybersecurity, this is what's applicable, this one was not applicable. We all are going to hear tonight how it happens. Okay. All right. So my screen is coming right up so that we can start immediately. Okay. How to start a cybersecurity career with no tech. Okay, Adam, I'm not able to share my screen. I don't know why this is so, but I'm not able to share my second screen. Hi, Adam, if you can hear me, please look right into it so that we can get this resolved instantly. Okay, I think it's coming up right now. Amazing, it's coming up right. Fantastic. Yeah, so let me also pick what others said. Rosemont said, work remotely as a cybersecurity expert. Tolu said, break into tech as a beginner. Okay, so that what it means is that for Tolu, he's open to all area. He's not yet, simplify the exact domain he wants to play in. He just wants to generally break into tech as a beginner. Blossom, I'm interested in hacking. Amazing, Blossom. You are interested in hacking. Fantastic. Everybody hold your phone tight because Blossom is here. And Tolu also, please post the attendance form. All right. I want to go into cybersecurity without no tech background. Then Edward, okay, the form is not working. All right. I'm sure that my colleagues in the call, they're already handling that exact issue. So before we dive right into what everyone has said, I'm just going to walk us through who we are. So who are we? Basically, we are Analytics, and we are an educational technology company that help Africans to and the Black community to transition into the tech ecosystem. And we have our strong forts in the data analytics field, business analysis, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, Scrum Master, and of course, cybersecurity. So over the years, we've had amazing facilitators come from companies like Deloitte, KPMG, Google, come to class and help our students understand things that they need to know. And that's because our curriculum are structured to be in a case study basics that they come with their experience from their companies into the classroom so that they can be able to impact all those live experiences that they have into us. So what it means is that they teach with case studies. It's not like a normal class where you come and you are going to be learning theoretically. No, if you come into class, you are going to be learning all these things with case studies. And we also have our amazing students work in these exact places like Google, InterSwitch, Access Bank, NHS, as the case may be across the globe, right? Okay, so let's dive into it. Who am I? I am Chukwemeka Ekpa, and I'm the CEO of Tenalytics. So I have over 5 years experience in governance, risk, and compliance. And currently, I am the CEO of Tenalytics, and I've helped close to 500 people with no technical background transition into the tech ecosystem and land their first job. So I've had to play in the banking industry, in the fintech industry, in hospitality business, capital market, of course, and finally in the education and technology field. And currently, I am residing in Nigeria. So if you're in Nigeria, say hello because we are here. All right, so I also have on the call with me the amazing Michael Afolabi. So Michael is a seasoned information security engineer with close to a decade experience leading architecture, design, and implementing security strategy in teams. And Michael have helped close to 350 people with no technical background transition into cybersecurity. So fully he specialized in cybersecurity and he helped all these people transition into the ecosystem. And his experience spans in both designing security programs for on-prem and cloud infrastructure, and of course, implementation of security standards and framework. He is certified 2x AWS, 5 times ISO, CCNA, and SEC Plus, of course. So Michael is not small, guys. Michael is not a small person. That's the person that we have on the call tonight to help us understand everything that we need to know regarding cybersecurity. And he worked also in the financial services and educational technology sector. So what are we going to be doing tonight? All right. So first, we're going to help you understand cybersecurity. And by helping you understand cybersecurity, we are going to scratch all those things that you have said in the chat box that you want to take out from this call. Okay. So that's why I said stay fully on the call so that you can be able to, get that exact value that you want. And we're also going to walk you through how to start a career in cybersecurity with no technical experience. Okay, so myself, governance risk and compliance is a part of cybersecurity, and I was able to transition. I studied civil engineering first degree, worked in the bank, and then I found myself in the technology space, right? And we are also going to walk you through the pathway to becoming a cybersecurity expert. All right, so someone like Michael have already walked this exact journey, and he's going to walk us through the way he was able to make it. Some of us have also done it. Me, I was able to transition. Michael also was able to transition. My founders and co-founders, they all studied management courses, I think policy or something like that. And today they are full data consultants in this exact domain, right? And number 3 thing we're going to walk you through tonight is about our upcoming cohort that starts on June 8th, 2024. The success stories of people that have joined this exact class in the past, our internship program, and by virtue of you being on this call, we have an early bird discount for you. So please stay tuned and ensure that you have your pen and paper to get everything that you need to know regarding how you can transition, how to start a career in cybersecurity with no tech experience. So I'm going to call up Michael at this point so that I can walk us through everything that we need to know. Hi, Michael, please, are you there? Confirm that you are with us.
Yes, I'm with you, Chukwemeka. How are you doing today? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm doing all right. How about you? How is Jamaica, UK, or anywhere you're joining us from today?
I'm all right. Well, for today, I'm joining from Nigeria.
Amazing, amazing. They are trying to be humble. That's nice. So that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. So, well, we're just going to get started. I see that we have a very engaging audience. And I've seen the responses. A lot of people are looking to get familiar with cybersecurity. A number of people are looking to be experts at cybersecurity or in cybersecurity. So yeah, I mean, it's all cool, really. And we're going to walk through these slides together, right? And then we're going from an approach of getting started in cybersecurity with no tech skills, right? I mean, it is interesting for you to know that in today's landscape, we have some attacks that are very, very prevalent, right? These are the attacks that um, we experience or we see within the environment, right, in recent times. And I say to you that cybersecurity is a very interesting field in a way that you like things are new, right? And irrespective of the technology, cybersecurity is a field that will continue to grow. That's one thing I say all the time, that it doesn't matter what is happening, it doesn't matter what the disruptive technology is. I mean, some years ago, it was, what do I mean? I mean, like 2 years ago, it was blockchain, right? Everybody was pumped about blockchain and all of these things. And while a lot of people were talking about blockchain, right, it would interest you to know that there were serious attacks, serious security attacks, serious security vulnerabilities that were found in blockchain technology, right? Such that one of the biggest hack ever was done on blockchain technology. So some of us might, I mean, some of us could have heard of it. It's Axie Infinity, right? AXIE Infinity Hack. Well, if you just Google that, you see that the attack um cost a loss of about $600 million. That's a lot of money. Not even a lot of companies are worth that much in several countries, right? So now imagine that there was an attack, there was a security attack, and $600 million was stolen, right? And this is blockchain that we're talking about.
Thank
Um,
you,
and the interesting thing is that if you go through that attack vector, you see that the entire thing started with a fake job posting, right? So just imagine you as maybe a finance person or whatever you're doing now, you as maybe a developer or you as maybe a non-tech person, you're working, right? And then you have like LinkedIn profile set up, and someone reached out to you to say, oh, I'm a recruiter, I'm trying to recruit for a particular role. And I mean, you that if the person tells you the salary and all of those things, and you're excited, you're looking to just get started. And this was how the entire thing started, right? Someone in the tech team got contacted on LinkedIn, and the person was told that there was an opening, and there was an entire recruitment process, interviews upon interviews, processes upon processes, right until when the offer letter was issued, right? And the malware was within the offer letter, was embedded in the offer letter. So the person, this employee got the offer letter, downloaded the offer letter, opened it up, and that was the beginning of the intrusion, right? That was the beginning. And before anyone knew it, $600 million was stolen, right? So this is to tell you that this is blockchain. These days we've had conversations on Web3 security. It is still a thing. And now we're going from blockchain to AI, right? Everybody's talking about AI is the new disruptive technology, right? And it will interest you that even at that, companies are now beginning to lose sleep, right? Because of the attack vector that AI now brings into the system, right? It would also interest you that international bodies, right? There's this body, the NIST body, that's National Institute of Standard and Technologies. They've even come together, right, to put out a sort of guideline for the usage of AI in companies. I mean, this guideline will cover companies that use AI, companies that produce or that develop with AI, companies that even develop AI agents, right? So It's to tell you that it doesn't matter what the technology is. It doesn't matter what is happening, right? Maybe next year it could be something else, right? But it doesn't matter. When you talk about cybersecurity, you will always have a place. With cybersecurity professionals, we will always have a place. We're not one of those that would say, oh, yeah, I mean, the advent of AI, so maybe jobs will start getting taken over by AI. No, we do not feel threatened, right? We do not feel threatened at all because we know that it doesn't matter what technology is invoked, we are still going to have a place, right? And we will be required to protect um assets, to protect resources, to protect data. So that's the interesting thing about cybersecurity. And I mean, just on the screen, you would see top 15 cybersecurity threats, right? You would see that number one on that list is ransomware attack. And what is ransomware attack? Ransomware is a type of attack, right, that leads to the conversion of your documents, of your data into encrypted formats, right? So maybe every day you come into your office, you sign into your laptop with your password, and then you start working on maybe Microsoft Word, you start opening documents, and just imagine you come in one day and you just see a blue screen that says that, and this blue screen is not the normal, it's not the Windows blue screen of that, right? It's maybe a blue screen or even maybe a white screen, and then you see a text on it that says that your data has now been encrypted. Make a payment of $200 million into this account. Sorry, I can see someone. Alan says he or she cannot hear me. Is this a general experience?
No, I can hear you, Michael. So I
Okay.
think I'll walk him through challenge he's having.
Okay. Okay. All right. So just imagine you step into the office one day and then you try to access your system and you're seeing a note on your screen that says your data has been encrypted. Kindly send or make a payment of $200 million to a particular Bitcoin address. Just imagine how shocking it is, right? And you cannot get your data back unless number one, I mean, you have a backup, and if there's no backup, you now decide to pay the ransom, which is not an advisable thing because paying the ransom, number one, does not guarantee that you would even get your data back, and it also does not guarantee that they will not come back to perpetuate more attacks, right? So this is why a lot of CISOs, a lot of security professionals, they've been losing sleep over this ransomware attack. Nobody wants their environment to be attacked and their data to be stolen, and for their data to be converted into something that they cannot read unless there's a key to decrypt. It's so ridiculous, right? And it's one of the top 15 attacks. I mean, we can say that it's number one essentially. And then another thing about ransomware attack is, I mean, there's this thing called the double extortion attack. So there's the ransom, which the attacker would say a company should pay, right? And there's also that possibility for the attacker to now sell data, right? So they will sell customers' data. They will make a lot of money by selling people's data, and then they will still make a lot of money from companies that have paid ransom, right? It is a very scary thing. I say to you, it is a very, very scary thing. And this ransomware attack has crippled industries, right? I mean, for those of us that are familiar with security news, you see that it has crippled many companies across different industries. It doesn't matter if it's health industry or even critical infrastructure, just across finance. It doesn't matter. It's just everywhere. And then the number two on the list is Internet of Things, right? All of us remember that at a point, Internet of Things, IoT was also the coolest thing, right? It was also disruptive technology then. But then look at it, IoT vulnerability is now number two on this top 15 threats to tell you that it doesn't matter how cool the technology is, it doesn't matter how disruptive technology is, cybersecurity has a place in it. And there are attacks that are happening just with the use of this technology. The more we use technology, the more we open ourselves up to security attacks, to security vulnerabilities. And then we security professionals will now have to step in to to resolve, to remediate, to prevent different types of attack. And then we have social engineering and phishing attacks. This is like very, very common. You see emails trying to trick you, maybe trick you to click a link, to maybe put your Instagram password and Instagram credentials, or maybe your Twitter, which is now X credentials, or maybe your bank account, just emails, just trying to present themselves as legitimate emails, right? But they are not legitimate emails. Behind everything is a bad guy who is trying to get your credentials. Even it could be a call, right? Maybe someone calls you and saying that, don't you know me? I'm this your cousin from wherever. All of those things, trying to just leverage human emotions, right? You know, we as humans, we are very emotional, and anything that can cause fear, anything that can add some urgency to it, anything that can show some level of authority. Those are things that these bad guys, they use to trick humans, right? They trick human emotions, and then they use that to get sensitive information, which they can now use to carry out different attacks. And then we have supply chain attack. I mean, you would all agree with me that in the current world now, there's no system that is built all by maybe one set of people, or a set of people. Rather, we have systems that are very, very intertwined. If you as a person today, if you want to start your company, and then maybe you hire developers, and you tell them that, this is you hire developers, you hire graphic designers, and all of these different people, right? You will see that as they begin to develop your application, they will be making use of some things that have been written by other people. Say, for example, you're trying to build an application, and you need the application to be able to, you need users to be able to use their face ID, or you need users to be able to use their biometrics to log into your application. Developers will not they won't write the codes that will do those things themselves, right? What they will do is they will leverage some existing libraries. Someone has already written the code that does that thing. They will now import the code, right? We call them dependencies, right? So they will import the dependency, and they will begin to use the dependency within their own application. Now, that in itself is a supply chain, because someone has written it, you're using it, right? It means that if there's ever an attack in that thing that was written by someone else, it automatically affects your own system, right? Which now means that you need to not only pay attention to the codes that you've written, you also need to pay attention to the codes that have been written by other people that you are now using within your application. It's a very complicated landscape, right? And anything that causes any vulnerability that results in those codes automatically gets into your own system too. And so you have to pay attention. And this is why supply chain attack is now a very it's a growing concern, right? In my own environment, we're trying to integrate with partners, integrate with other companies. We now sort of do a third-party risk assessment to say, okay, fine, we understand the business perspective of what we want to do. Let us look at the security perspective. What are the things you have in place? What are the security measures you have in place, right? So it's a very interesting field, right? And then you would see, if you continue to grow, we would see AI-powered cyber threats. I mean, you can see that already. It's already in the top 15 cyber threats. So it says again that it doesn't matter what technology is, doesn't matter how cool it is, there will be some things that we as security professionals will need to get ourselves ready and be able to resolve, and to be able to prevent any vulnerability that may come alongside. And then you look at advanced persistent threats. So advanced persistent threats, these are the sophisticated hackers. They are not the hackers that send you maybe phishing emails with some typographical errors, or all of these minor attacks, right? They're not the ones that just go on the internet and copy some cool things and then use that one to attack. No, these APTs, they are the sophisticated ones. In fact, some of them are backed by government, right? They are backed by government, federal government, state government. They are backed by government of countries, and they are used to carry out attacks, right? So these are the advanced persistent threats. And then we have zero-day exploits, which are vulnerabilities that are just found in in a system. So maybe you're using your phone today, and then you realize that, oh, if I do this thing, I'm able to carry out this unauthorized request, right? And then you can now report that to the OEM. So it's called 0 day because it's 0 days since that vulnerability was known, right? And then for anything that's 0 day, there are usually no patches, right? There's no updates to resolve it. It usually takes some time for there to be like a fix, right? And then we have cloud security, which is also one of the cool things. I mean, you know that at the point it was cloud. Even now, a lot of companies are moving to the cloud, just leveraging the cloud, right? So that in itself has some security risk that comes alongside. And then you have mobile malware and vulnerabilities. All of us, we know what this is all about. Our phones, they have malware. There's that possibility of malware infections, and then there's a need to patch that up. And then we have insider threats. When you even have within your company, you might have hired someone from someone that was sent into your company by maybe a competitor, right? And then the person is just trying to like get your trade secrets, telling it to the competitor just for competitive advantage, right? So these are some of the things that happen. We can continue to go: artificial intelligence misuse, data breaches, advanced phishing techniques, nation state cyber attacks, cryptocurrency related threats, a lot of them, right? A lot of cybersecurity threats. And this list keeps changing, right? It keeps changing, things keep coming up. It's to show you how important cybersecurity is, and it's to tell you that we cybersecurity professionals, we have a part to play, right? We have a part to play, and we need to step up to protect people, to protect companies, to protect data, to protect infrastructure, right? It's a very interesting field, I must say. So we go to the next slide. Yeah, so I mean, I've talked about cybersecurity threats. Yes, we've talked about AI and how there are vulnerabilities in AI, or how there are weaknesses, right? So when I say vulnerabilities, I mean weaknesses that can be exploited. So I mean, over the course of this class, I would say some things like I'll say vulnerabilities. I would say maybe threats, which could be like which could have like potential impact, right? I would say like different things, but I will always try to explain all of these things that I say. So, the first question is cybersecurity. What really is cybersecurity, right? I know I have the answer on the screen, right? But I would need us in the class to, tell me, what do you think cybersecurity is all about? What is cybersecurity? I would love if I can get some feedback on that. Maybe you're still a very non-technical person, but you'll be hearing of the word cybersecurity because it's the mainstream thing now. It's the field that everyone is talking about, and that's because of the way technology is going, right? So you must have heard of cybersecurity. So I need you to tell me what you think cybersecurity is all about, what you've heard about cybersecurity, and then let's pick it up. So I'll be looking at responses. I see Rosemont says cybersecurity, says protection of the digital space, and using strategies to create protection of data, right? That's very interesting. So I'll need us to drop what we think cybersecurity is all about, right? I can see Princess says a field that helps protect people, systems from threats. Perfect. Rosemond, absolutely spot on. Princess, spot on, right? So please, let's keep it coming. Tell me, what do you think cybersecurity is all about? What is cybersecurity to you? What have you heard about cybersecurity? If he says it's a practice of preventing data, network, system, etc. from unauthorized hackers. Perfect. Unauthorized hackers. I mean, these days we have hackers always in the news, stealing data and all of those things. So I see that yes, we know what it's about, We know what cybersecurity is all about. So yeah, we're all right. So going back to the slides, if you have your answers, you can just continue to drop it in chat. I will occasionally look at that to pick out responses. So cybersecurity, coupled with what Ify, what Rosemond, what Princess, what they've said, right? We now bring it together to say cybersecurity is the practice of protecting systems, network, and data from digital attacks, right? Essentially, we are there to protect systems, right? Our systems, our laptops, our desktops, our servers, our phones, our televisions, our washing machines, because all these things now have internet connectivity, right? The other day I was listening to a story, or I was listening to news actually, and they were talking about how a washing machine was making up to about 3 GB of upload every day. I mean, that's very concerning. In fact, that in itself shows that there's something wrong, right? And that's a washing machine. Just imagine your washing machine is uploading 3 GB of data every day. You begin to ask, oh, what could be happening? What could be happening here? Is it that my washing machine is now being used to carry out attacks? Because yes, that's what it means. So cybersecurity is just the practice of protecting systems, network, data from digital attacks, right? These digital attacks, they have been caused by bad guys, by hackers, right? Just as we've answered in chat, right? So we as cybersecurity professionals, we step in to now protect our resources. We step in to protect our people even from these attacks, right? The goal of cybersecurity can easily be visualized just using the triangle. When you see this triangle, in fact, when you think of cybersecurity, one thing that you can use to remember is just thinking about the triangle, right? In security, we call it the CIA triad, and this speaks to confidentiality, availability, and integrity. I'll go deeper to tell you what each of these things mean. But when you think about cybersecurity, think of confidentiality, think of availability, and think of integrity, right? We're going to, in the next slide, or in the coming slides, we're going to see what these things mean and how cybersecurity steps in to ensure confidentiality, to ensure availability, and to ensure integrity. Um, so yes, now exactly. So like I said, in cybersecurity, we try to ensure the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of our resources, of our data, of our network, of our systems, right? And the question is, what is confidentiality, right? So confidentiality ensures that only the people who have access, or only the people who are authorized can access particular data, right? So it means that I, Michael, if I work with a company and I have been authorized to access the company's data, that's only when I should be able to access that data, right? If myself and Chukwuemeka, if we work together in the same company, right? And maybe Chukwuemeka works in like data team, and then I work in the maybe security team. If I have not been authorized to access databases, to access the systems that Chukwuemeka uses, I should not have access to it, right? Only Chukwuemeka, who has been authorized to have access, should have access to it. Anything that makes me, Michael, who does not have that authorization to access a system, it means that the confidentiality of that system has been breached, and then we can say that, oh, security has been breached, right? So that's what it means. Imagine you I mean, we all have our bank applications, right? Or we have our it could be maybe our web our online banking details. Imagine you put your online banking credentials one day, and then you see another person's account. It would be so weird. I mean, first of all, your credentials should only give you access to your own account details, right? It should only give you access to your account balance, to make transactions on your account and all of those things. So if you put your credentials and then you're seeing someone else's account details, it means that confidentiality has been breached, right? It means that the security of that system has been breached, because now you're seeing something that you are not authorized to see. Yeah, so that really is the meaning of confidentiality. And then the next thing is integrity. What really is integrity? So integrity ensures that data is not modified by unauthorized people, right? Or there's no unauthorized modification of data, right? So it means that if I want to say, for example, just the way on your end, when I asked for cybersecurity, right? A number of people define cybersecurity and then they sent that in. Imagine you sense maybe cybersecurity is all about protecting digital assets, right? For example, and then the rest of us on the call was saying cybersecurity is all about playing, for example, right? I mean, you on your end, you type cybersecurity is all about protecting digital assets. And then we that were reading your chat, we are saying cybersecurity is all about playing. It means that something has happened to the message that you sent. Maybe someone has intercepted the message and they've changed the content of your message, right? If that ever happens, it means that the integrity of that communication has been breached because there's an unauthorized modification, right? So that's what integrity speaks all about. It's about ensuring that there's no unauthorized modification of data. That if I send Princess, if I tell Princess hello, Princess will receive hello. Princess is not going to receive I when I say hello. If that ever happens, it means that the integrity of our communication has been breached. And then what's availability? Availability ensures that resources are available to authorized people at every point in time. I mean, it's also one of the conversations that we have in security. I say to you that in security, you have a lot of interesting conversations, like very, very interesting conversations. And over the course of this call, we'll talk about some of them. I mean, as a security professional, I speak to wide range of people. I speak to the data team. I speak to the product designers. I speak to product managers. I speak to developers. I speak to DevOps people. And then we're having different conversations. I even speak to management, right? I speak to customer experience, contact center people. Like, we're having wide range of conversations, right? And then sometimes you want to maybe, oh, yes, security, we need to protect, right? But in your approach to protecting, you should only protect in a way that the people who need access, they should be able to have access to it. Just imagine if a bank says that, yes, we are so serious about cybersecurity, so we are going to put in some measures, and they put in certain measures and nobody is able to use that bank anymore. Like, even you as a person, you want to log in, it's problem. You want to transfer, it's problem. And then you tell them that, oh, I'm unable to do this thing. They'll tell you, it's because we are implementing cybersecurity measures, right? Just imagine. So if that ever happens, it means that the security of that system is very questionable because the availability leg has been compromised, right? People who need access to it, people who need access to it, they no longer have access to it just because of one reason or the other. And then this is one thing that, I mean, earlier we talked about ransomware attack where the bad guys will come into your system and then they will encrypt your data. They will convert your data into a format that is unreadable, right? Unless you have a key. Now, this is what the bad guys do. When they convert your data, it's no longer usable. The availability of that data has been compromised. Also, we've had, I mean, some of us must have heard of DDoS attack or DOS, right? Which is denial of service. DDoS is distributed denial of service, right? What it simply means is that imagine you have an application, right? And that application will only accept 3 requests per second. Now, bad guys have now said that, okay, now your application can only accept 3 requests. Oh, let's not even say 3. Let's say 1,000 requests per second. So it means that 1,000 people can carry out transactions on your mobile application, like at the same time. Now, the bad guys have now said that, okay, that's fine. What I will now do is that I myself, I will make 1,000 requests. In fact, I will do 1,001 requests to your server just for myself. It means that I have just one person has taken over what every other person should use. So other users, they will not be able to access your system because an attacker has loaded your system with so much traffic that other people can no longer have access to it. So if that happens, that means that the availability of that system has been compromised, right? So, I mean, that's typically the meaning of these 3 things. And in security, our job is to ensure that availability is not compromised, which means that the systems must be available. The systems must be accessible to authorized users at every point in time. We must ensure that data is not modified through unauthorized means at any point in time. And then we must confirm that only people who are authorized to access resources can access resources at every point in time. So this is really what cybersecurity is all about. And for us to carry out these actions, right, or for us to carry out these objectives, we have certain things, certain measures that we use. Sorry, could you go back? Could you go back? Yeah. So we have certain measures that we use. So for confidentiality, to ensure that only authorized people can access data, we use encryption, right? So encryption is what happens. I mean, when you go to a website, this is a very relatable example. So when you go to a website and then, I mean, maybe by that URL page, but URL side of things, you see maybe a padlock sign on it, or you see, I mean, more recently that sign is changing to something else, right? But typically you see like a padlock sign on it, the green padlock sign on it, that signifies that whatever data you're putting on that website is getting encrypted, right? And what that means is that if anybody tries to intercept your traffic, they will not be able to make sense out of it, right? So this is to ensure confidentiality. Also, tokenization will convert text into I mean, it's called digital representation. So we convert text into some forms that only people who are authorized to see those data can actually make sense out of it. And then we use access controls. I mean, sometimes you go to offices, you see doors that require maybe ID, or that require biometrics, or doors that require certain keys and all of those things. I mean, those things are part of security, and we use those things to enforce access controls, right? Even for integrity, we have a message digest, right? I mean, this message digest is very interesting, right? Let me give you something that happened. I mean, something that I've been using over time. I was trying to fill out something, right? Someone sent me some documents, like a number of documents actually. But personally, I saw that the first page, the second page were about, they're the same thing. This document had like, say maybe like 20 pages. And then I saw that the first page, second page were the same thing. But I couldn't tell if like everything, if all the content of that document, word by word, line by line, if they were the same thing, right? So what I did was that I converted that document. What I did was that I just got the hash value. So there's something we call hashing in security, right? So hashing is a way to convert your word, like to convert an input, right, into something we call message digest, right? So you're going to take an input, say for example, hello, right? And then you pass it into something called the hashing algorithm. And then the hashing algorithm is going to give you fixed string of words, right? It's going to give you some outputs. Now, the context is that if you put the same words, right? So if you put like ABC into an hashing algorithm and it gives you an output, anytime you put ABC into that hashing algorithm, it will always give you the same output, right? So that's the concept. So what I did was that I passed and I did that. It gave me like the output, and then I did that for second document, it gave me the output. Now I looked at the first output and looked at the second output, and I saw that they were the same thing, which meant that the content of those documents were the same thing, right? So yes, they were about 20 pages, but then I've been able to convert this 20 pages document to just a single line of about 64 characters or thereabouts, right? And with that, I was able to tell that the content of these documents were the same thing. So this is what we use, right, to ensure that, oh, data has not been modified. Now imagine if it was just a full stop that was different in those two documents, the output that I would have gotten would have been different, and I would have known that, oh yes, these documents are different, right? So what then happened was that when I realized that, oh yes, they were the same contents, I was just able to read one document and I said, oh yeah, I've read all the documents, right? So it's one of the ways that we ensure, that we use to ensure integrity and security, and also availability. We have certain things that we do, such as maybe having backups. In case there's an attack, you're able to recover from backup, which is also very interesting. So for all of us that we are using phones, maybe we have iCloud or we have Google, or we have like Google storage and all of those things. It is important to always back up your data. just in case maybe your phone gets stolen or your phone just gets damaged, right? So you're able to recover from backup. These practices that we do in real life, like in our own individual life, these are the practices that we take into companies and then we implement them on a larger scale, on an enterprise scale, just to ensure security. So we can see that you just by backing up your things, your pictures to iCloud, you're already fulfilling one leg of cybersecurity. Now, who says that you can't come into a company and then just advise them that, oh, sorry, all our data that we have, I hope we are backing them up somewhere. That is security. Like, that's the beginning of security. I've not seen any easier way to explain it than to say that, you know what, these are things you do on your own. You set your password on your phone, you do like your OTP, you set up OTP, you do all of those things on your phone. Fine, that's security. What then happens is that you step into a company and you do it on a larger scale. The concept is the same, whether for individuals or for enterprise, the same concept, but at different scales, right? So just imagine when you're doing all these things as a non-tech person, why can't you now enter a company and do it as a non-tech person and even get experience, right? So it's very relatable, and then something that we can step in with or without tech experience, get started and do amazing things, right? So yes, let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so I mean, we must have some things, right? Maybe someone who is a non-technical person, maybe a lawyer. In fact, I have like actual examples for lawyers. So someone would say, maybe I'm a non-technical person, maybe I did biz admin, or maybe I've been doing business administration, or maybe I've just had like some different experiences, right? And then you say you cannot, because of that, you feel that, oh, you cannot get started in cybersecurity. That is a lie. In fact, the number one myth here is that you need a technical background to start. That is a lie. Like, I can tell you categorically that it is a lie. Over time, I have seen people with zero technical background get started in security. So to the story about lawyers, right? So in my experience, right, I've been in security for some time. I have been in interviews, right? I have hired people into security. I have, like, at a point I've become like the hiring manager to make like requirements for people, and then we'll interview them and all of those things. And so let me tell you this. We're trying to get someone on the team one day, and we had like different people like with different background. Personally, if I want anybody on my team, or even like anywhere, I don't look at the background, right? I mean, interestingly, come with your background. Let's talk about cybersecurity from your standpoint, because different perspectives will bring different approach to cybersecurity, and everything is all welcome. So we're on the call this day, and we're trying to like bring in someone, and then the person said that I mean, they went to law school, they graduated with a law degree, they went to law school, and then they're trying to do cybersecurity. And then the person was like, and they were like, okay, you're a lawyer, right? What do you think? What do you think has been so helpful for you as a person, just by being a lawyer? And the person said to us that as a lawyer, you get to consume so many things, you get to read a lot of materials, and just coming from a background where you're always reading books into cybersecurity, it has enhanced the way the person reads, because in cybersecurity, you have to read a lot, you have to learn a lot, you have to catch up with technology. So the person's like, yes, I've been able to read so many articles, and it has really helped my approach to cybersecurity. That was one point that the person said. And the person also said that that they came from a background where when you're a lawyer and you're speaking, there's a way you speak as a lawyer, right? There are certain words that you have to use, right? And then the person is in cybersecurity, where you should now be able to communicate to people like in plain terms, right? So the person was like, it's been an interesting journey for me, and I've been able to leverage some of the advantages of reading and opening yourselves up to different materials. I've been able to leverage the advantage in cybersecurity, but also because I've been taught to be able to structure my words in certain ways. Now comes cybersecurity, I'm realizing that I need to be able to speak to technical people, non-technical people. I need to be able to speak to them in plain words, right? That they would understand. And the person was like, yes, I mean, to be honest, that was one thing that like, of everybody that we met that day, trust me, we met people that were lawyers, we met people that were in tech, we met people that were in different domains, right? But then the approach that the person brought into the conversation was no reason for the person to be considered for the job, right? So, and then coupled with the fact that the person has now gone through some trainings in cybersecurity, has learned some other things in cybersecurity, but just by judging by the perspective that the person came from, right? It's that in itself gave the person some other leverage, right, that other people did not have. So it doesn't matter your background. In cybersecurity, we need diverse background. We need people with valuable perspectives and skills. Yes, you're a business admin person, you can come into cybersecurity and say to us that yes, we're trying to secure, but the ultimate thing in cybersecurity is for people to carry out their operation. In fact, I say it all the time that there's no company, except maybe you're a security company. There's no company that is that is in business for just security. Banks are not in business for security. Banks are in business for operations, for banking operations. Now, we security professionals, we are there to enable them. We're there to enable them carry out processes securely. We are just an enabler, right? Now, if you're a business admin person and then you understand the business perspective of things, and then you come into security where your job is to enable businesses because of your understanding of the fundamentals of security, of business administration, you can come in and even tailor your security approach in a way that further enables business, right? So it's not all about technical things, it's not all about let's deploy this thing, let's install this one, let's do that one. It's about the business, right? It is about the business, and it's not a question of how can we enable business operations? How can we ensure that when people come into our systems, they are carrying out operations securely? So yes, that's the first thing. And the second thing is cybersecurity is only about coding. That's a lie, right? I mean, while coding is very useful in some aspects, maybe you're doing like malware or malware development or expert development, you're doing all those things. Yes, cool. You can need coding, but there are a lot of domains in security that do not require you to write a line of code, right? And you can do this for an entire career without you writing a single line of code you won't write. In fact, there are domains in security that you are not going to do anything technical. Like there's zero technicality. It's more of governance, more of risk, more of compliance, right? Documentation, creation of policies, all of these things. You can come into cybersecurity. Now imagine we've gone from you thinking that cybersecurity is all about coding to saying that cybersecurity is not even all about technical things, right? There are things that are non-technical in cybersecurity, and you can build a career, an excellent career, in fact, in cybersecurity by doing things that are non-technical. One interesting person is, I mean, for those of us that I mean, for those of us that may know, there's a person in cybersecurity. She's very respected in cybersecurity. She started cybersecurity as a I think I can't remember. Her name is Rachel Tobak, right? Rachel Tobak. She started cybersecurity as, I think, something about health. Really, it's about health. I typically remember this thing, but my memory is failing me now. It's not psychology. Maybe something related to psychology. Rachel Tobak, right? RACHEL TOBAQ. You can just check that out, right? So she started cybersecurity from that perspective, and today she's one of the most respected people in cybersecurity. She has worked with top companies, right? When you talk about top companies in Silicon Valley, right? She has worked with them as a security professional, and then she came from a non-technical field. A non-technical field. I can't remember the field. I mean, it's I'm trying to remember, but I cannot remember. But yeah, you can check it out. Rachel Tobak. She started from something related to psychology or neuroscience or something like that, right? That's where she started from. And she is an amazing security professional, all from something not even related to tech. So it doesn't matter where you're coming from. And then we have certifications alone will get you a job. I mean, there are people that their approach to security is to, yes, start maybe gathering certifications and all of those things. Nah, certifications are good fine. But certifications alone will not get you the job. You need to actually know what cybersecurity is all about. You need to know the fundamentals of cybersecurity. You need to know how cybersecurity enables business operations, right? And then the last one is cybersecurity is only for young people. That's obviously a lie. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter what you've been doing over time. In fact, you might have started your career as maybe a medical doctor, or maybe a business analyst, or maybe something else, right? And then over time, you just realize that, oh, I'm passionate about cybersecurity. It doesn't matter. You can always switch to cybersecurity at any point in time. Okay, I see Rebecca Toback. No, not Rebecca, Rachel. So I'm just going to type that out. Sorry, Rachel Toback. Yeah. Yeah, so you can check that out. You can check our story about cybersecurity. And I mean, if anyone gets what the field she came from, please drop that in chat. I'll be looking out for it. I can't really remember. My brain memory field. I mean, it's pre-med actually. So yeah. So you can see that it doesn't really matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're coming from medicine, or if you're coming from any or coming from law, or whatever, right? Or whatever, you can always come to cybersecurity and do amazing things, right? So yes, thank you so much for that. Yeah. So can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so now, I mean, we've talked about different things. We talked about how cybersecurity is not all technical, right? How cybersecurity could even be about policies, could even be about governance, about strategies, right? Could be about compliance, right? So cybersecurity teams, they are divided into two, basically. We have the blue team, which is the defense-focused cybersecurity team, right? So the blue team, our concern is to ensure that our systems are safe, right? Is to ensure that we have defensive mechanisms. So imagine us like as the defenders. For those of us that watch football, right? We are defenders, right? I mean, what the likes of Sergio Ramos, the likes of Van Dijk, the likes of Gabriel, of Saliba, and all of those things, right? We are the ones that are defending the organization, right? It's like a defensive approach. The blue teamers are the defenders, and then the red teamers are the attackers. I mean, when you look at the football team, perfect analogy, right? When you look at the football team, you know you have the attacker, you have defenders. All of us will work together to win trophies, right? We work together to win matches. However, we have the attackers, we have the defenders, and we have the midfielders. Great. So yes, it's the same way cybersecurity is structured. We have the blue teamers who are the defenders, and then we have the red teamers who are the attackers. Now, the point is that both blue teamers and red teamers will now collaborate. So the red teamers, they will try to break into our systems to say, oh yes, maybe we've deployed an application. The red teamers will try to break the application, right? We call it penetration testing. They will try to penetrate into the application. Exactly. Thank you. So Rachel Toback, okay. Rachel Toback, oh, it's a C, right? Says neuroscience and behavioral psychology. Thank you very much for that. That's what I was trying to remember. Neuroscience. So yes, yeah, so I mean, I digress. So back to my point. So blue teamers, we try to ensure that our defenses are very tight. We have controls in place to ensure that nobody can break into our systems. And then red teamers, they try to break into our systems. And if they are successful, they will now meet us and say, oh yes, I've been able to break into your systems. These are the things, or develop strategies to ensure that I can no longer break into your system. So it's like a collaborative approach. Some guys are trying to break in. Now, these guys that I'm talking about, they are the good guys, right? They are still good guys. In security, we have the bad guys. We have the ethical workers, which are the guys that already have the authorization and the scope to test system, right? They will try to break into systems, knowing fully well that they have been authorized to do it, and they've been given the scope of their operations, right? These are the ethical hackers. These are the guys that will try to break into systems legally. Now, we have the bad guys, right? The bad guys don't have the authorization. They've not been authorized to break into any system, and they've not been given any scope to operate within. They are just doing whatever they like. Those are the bad guys, right? So those are not the guys we're talking about here. The guys we're talking about here are the guys who have been given the authorization to break into the system. In fact, we have documented it that Michael tried to break into my system. It's been signed and documented, and they've given me the scope, right? So if I come with that approach and I try to break into your system, I am an ethical hacker, right? And if I find anything, I will now present it to the blue team guys, who will now develop approach or develop strategies to defend against the attack. So yes, those are the teams in cybersecurity, and irrespective of what you do in cybersecurity, you will most likely fall into one of these two teams, right? If either you're writing policies, you're trying to defend the organizations by ensuring that your processes are adequate and your processes are driven by policies. You're defending your organization, right? So that's where you stand as a blue teamer. So if you look at it further, right, you see blue team, you have like your security monitoring and incident response. These are the guys that are always looking at screens, right? So for those of us that have watched security related movies, you will see that they will show you some scenes where you see so many screens in the room, and then you'll be wondering, what are they doing with all these screens? It's because they are monitoring. So they are the security monitoring guys. We call them SOC analysts, right? SOC, that's SOC, Security Operations Centers. So many screens will be in the room, and they'll be monitoring all our assets on that screen. So those, I mean, that's a part. And if any incident now happens, we have the guys that will now go ahead and they'll try to investigate, they'll try to remediate, they'll try to recover, and all of those things, right? Those are the guys that are in incident response. And we have like vulnerability management teams. Those are the guys that they're constantly looking for vulnerabilities, and they'll try to patch it up. We have the security architects. Those are the guys that are designing the architecture. I mean, when you think about architects, right? When you think about architects, just even in the normal way, right? I mean, the way we think about architects, right? They build plans. Now, we have, even in security, we have people that come up with designs, with plans of how we're going to implement our security mechanisms into our systems. And then we have identity and access management. These are the guys that manage your identity. So let's say you join a company today, for example, you need to be given access to some things. Maybe you need to be created on maybe domain or all of these things. These are the guys that are in charge of that. And then we have the endpoint security guys. These are the guys that are in charge of protecting our laptops. Also, we have the network security guys. These are the guys that are in charge of like the network. And then we have the security awareness and training guys. So these are the guys that would, so this one, they will even teach people. So they carry out maybe all these meetings in organizations where they come in and then they teach people, right? They say, oh yes, this is how your password should be. This is the length of password you should use. Don't use your name as your password. Don't use your pet name as your password. Ensure that the complexity is intact. Use uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and special characters, right? There are people whose job in cybersecurity is to do this awareness, right? And we are all security professionals, right? So just look at it. Imagine you're in maybe you did mass communication, or maybe you're in like theater art and all of these things, right? And then you're coming to security. These are places that you can easily fit your skills into, even while you now do some other things, right? But just off the bat, there's a field that you can step into and excel greatly at it in security. So you can see how relatable it is, right? And then we have the red team guys. So these are the penetration testers. These are the guys that will try to break your systems. And then Rachel Toback, that we spoke about, she is into social engineering, really. She tries to like break systems, just leveraging on human emotions, right? So yeah, that's that. And then we have physical security testing. This one is not even you're not even trying to do anything digital. You're just trying to get access. So you're doing like physical pen testing. How can you deceive the guards, right? What can you tell the guys that they will just let you into the company? It's all about security, right? I mean, when you hear security, don't think that it's all technical, it's all codes, it's all complex things, right? It doesn't matter. Like so many ways you can be a security professional. There are so many ways. Just imagine your job as a security professional is to get hired by companies, and they'll tell you that try to enter our office without any pass, right? So you step into the office, you meet the security people, you do some chats with them. In fact, maybe even start football conversations, and then you see how you're able to leverage that to break into the company, to maybe let them lead you into the company, right? That's your job, right? You're just trying to get access to companies, right? Physical security, right? That's a part of cyber security, or that's part of information security as a whole. And then you have exploit development, which are the guys that now craft exploits. They develop malwares, right? They develop malware and all of these sophisticated tools, right? So yes, I see someone talked about purple teaming. So purple teaming is all about collaboration. Remember, you have the blue team, which is the defensive guys, and then we have the red team, which is the attacking team, right? Now, when you're of purple teaming, think about collaboration. How can we bring blue team and red team together to collaborate and secure, right? So purple teaming is a concept of collaboration, right? There are people that say to themselves that, you know what, I know how to implement defensive strategies, and I also know how to pen test. Because of that, I have an idea of both worlds, and I can collaborate with other people to ensure the security of my environment. So think of purple teaming as collaboration of blue team and red team. Remember, the goal is the same: ensuring the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of IT, resources and data. So yes, I mean, the next question is, how do I, as a non-tech person, get started? Right? I mean, we've talked about it, but yeah, I mean, how do I get started? Well, first off, I congratulate you just for being on this call, right? It's the first step. We're having these conversations together. You're seeing the possibilities, right? You're seeing how your skill set directly fits into cybersecurity, right? Whatever you're doing today, I can draw a line between whatever you're doing today to cybersecurity just off the bat, right? So congratulations for you just by being on this call. It's the first step. And then analytics, right? The modules have been designed in a way that approaches cybersecurity even from a non-tech background. So it's not like when you start the journey, we're throwing technical things at you. Not like that. We're starting from the concepts, like from the fundamental concepts of computing, right? What are the bits and bytes of computing? We're talking about what's the CPU, what's the monitor, like we're starting from the actual scratch, right? And then we're taking the journey from fundamentals of computing to fundamentals of networking to fundamentals of security, then to different domains of security, right? So you can see the structured approach, right? Irrespective of where your starting point is, then we grow together as a team, and then we get to a level where we can now describe ourselves as cybersecurity professionals. And then learning never stops. That's one thing I say to everyone in cybersecurity. Learning never stops, because imagine you interact with a lot of people and you need to be very, very knowledgeable to understand what each and everyone is saying, right? So it doesn't matter where you're coming from, there's a structured approach that will take you from the fundamentals of computing. Remember, this is not even fundamentals of security, this is fundamentals of computing, right to advanced level, right, of security. So yes, that's how you get started. And I mean, you say as a non-tech person, again, if you're still having doubts in your mind, right? I said to you that non-tech backgrounds are very, very valuable. First off, the perspective that you bring to the industry, very, very valuable. I mean, there's something we call this tunnel vision, right? Maybe as a tech person, you have a tunnel vision. There's only one way for you to look at things. There's only one way to analyze things, right? As a tech person, oh yes, I've been in tech all my life. I have 10 years in tech. Because of that, your perspective is very limited. Now imagine someone that's coming from maybe mass communication, or someone that's coming from medicine, the person has a different perspective. So while you're doing, I have 10 years in tech, I've been building applications all my life, right from the age of 5. Someone is coming to tell you that I understand human beings, right? I am a social person. I've been taught social interaction. I'm a social science person. So I understand human behavior. I understand human interaction. So all of these things that you're saying, right? All of these things that you're saying, right? There are ways to look at. There's a better approach, right? And this is the perspective, right? So in cybersecurity, we encourage everybody across different fields. Come on, let us secure our systems together. Bring your perspective. Let us develop innovative solutions together. And then soft skills, very, very important. I mean, when I transitioned to cybersecurity, I'm sure it's somewhere even on my Twitter page where I talked about soft skills. As a cybersecurity professional, you need to be able to communicate, right? You need to be able to communicate properly because, first off, as a technical person, I mean, even from a technical perspective, as a technical person, all you want to do is you want to be talking about technical terms. In fact, sometimes you go to meetings and then there are certain meetings that when you get into, all your technical languages, you drop them outside. Imagine you're meeting with your board, right? You're meeting with your board, experience across many things, and you want to come in and you think that your tech knowledge is what you want to use there. No, you need to be able to speak in plain words that everybody would understand. Now, if you're coming from a perspective of like social sciences, you're coming from a perspective um of being a non-tech person, the understanding of human psychology, the understanding of human communication, you can leverage that, right? And you can communicate with people, share ideas, present complex terms in a way that everyone begins to understand. So soft skill advantage, I say to you that very, very important. You go to interview, sometimes we interview, I mean, like I said, I've been in interviews, right? And then you're having an interview with someone and they're unable to break these things down. They're unable to explain it in ways that, yes, I'm a technical person, but I don't even want you to say some technical things to me. I need to see if you're able to communicate because as a security professional, you're relating with employees every day, right? Imagine you need to explain a concept to them and you do not have plain words, like you do not have simple words to explain. That's not good enough, right? So the understanding of human interaction, very, very important, and that's an advantage irrespective of the field you're coming from. And then, I mean, yeah, we've talked about understanding of human behavior. So yeah, non-tech background, very, very valuable. So can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so this is how we get started, right? And then you start from education. Primary thing, you need to get yourself educated. Thankfully, you're on this call, and then we have a structured learning module for you, or structured learning platform for you, which speaks to the education leg. Now, as you're learning, now imagine we have about 61 people on this call. 61 people. You're learning with a number of people, right? You're learning, you're building skills, practical skills, because in our learning programs, we have labs, hands-on labs, right? Exercises, incident response exercises, cloud security exercises, fundamentals of networking exercises. You're doing hands-on practicals, right? So you're learning and then you're doing hands-on practicals, right? And then you're learning with a lot of people, right? You have that community, right? That can always pull you together and then learn together, right? So you have that community that you can always leverage. You have that community that you can also leverage for opportunities, right? So imagine you're learning with 60 people. I mean, the classes are structured in a way that there are not a lot of people. I mean, it's structured in groups, right? So that learning is comprehensive. Learning, we can carry everybody all at once, right? So imagine you're learning with, you have like colleagues that you're learning with, and then they work in different organizations, and there's an opening in the organization. They will say, "Oh, there's an opening in my organization. Do you fancy this opening?" And then you just come into the organization like that. So that community is very, very important. You're learning. There's the practical skills that you're gaining, and then you're networking with people in the field, people across different fields, right? That have that interest in cybersecurity, and then internship and volunteering, develop soft skills, and then there's continuous. So this is the best way to get started in cybersecurity. Education, practical skills, network with people, volunteer, and then alongside you learn, you develop your soft skills, and then you continue learning, because remember, learning is continuous. So yeah, can we go to the next slide? So yes, I mean, all of us, I'm sure we've heard of this, right? There's always the emphasis on the number of jobs in cybersecurity. I mean, there are a lot of jobs, and there are actual data to back this up. First off, let's say in 2023, the cybersecurity attacks really caused about, I mean, reached a peak of 12.5 billion US dollars, right? But that was even 2023 alone. Now imagine 2024. We don't know what's going to happen 2025. So there will be that increase in cyber crimes, right? And because of that, cybersecurity professionals are in demand. There are a lot of unfilled roles in cybersecurity in 2023. Says that there were about over 1 million openings, but there were just about 400,000 people to fill that up. So that's a deficit of 600,000. And then there's a projection that by 2025, imagine that from 2023, we already have about 600,000 deficits. Now 2024, 2025, with the increase in the use of technologies, the roles are increasing, right? There are a lot of openings, and then this is the best time to get started in cybersecurity, irrespective of your background. So yeah, can we go to the next slide? Hello, can we go to the next slide?
Yes, I have. You're not seeing it?
No, I can still see the job outlook slide.
How about now?
Still the job outlook up.
Wow.
Probably.
Wow. I sure Adam, are you there?
Moving from my end, Chikemeka.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess it's my network. So yeah, this slide speaks to, I mean, we've talked about the roles in cybersecurity, the teams in cybersecurity. We have like multiple roles in cybersecurity. This is not even up to a quarter of the roles in cybersecurity. Ethical hackers, we've talked about that. These are the guys that have been authorized to carry out attacks. We have the security architect, which is one of, I mean, I love security architecture so much, because you have that holistic idea of the environment. You're designing applications and you're designing security into applications. Mind-blowing. I mean, before now, I used to love architecture, like in the usual terms, right? Designing buildings and all of those things. But now I cannot do that in security. Amazing. So I love it so much. And then information security manager, yes, that's a role in security. And then you have a cybersecurity analyst. That's a role in security. Penetration testing, we've talked about that. SOC analyst, the guys that are monitoring, coming to the office, you have like screens, you're monitoring, seeing some cool stuff. And then you can now go ahead to investigate. Network security engineer, right? These are the guys that monitor the network, they deploy network infrastructure and deploy security implementations with network infrastructure. And then we have the CISO, which is the Chief Information Security Officer, which is the C-level executive that is responsible for the overall security strategy, right? So yes, these are, I mean, like I said, this is just a quarter of the roles in cybersecurity. So yes, we're just going to do something. I mean, just to get us started and to now bring it. I mean, yes, cybersecurity. I know when a lot of us, when we look at cybersecurity, we look at it from an enterprise perspective. Say, yes, cybersecurity. That's a lot of work. You're going into organizations, you're doing these things. But like I said, it all begins with you. It all begins with me, right? Even as a person, cybersecurity is that skill set that I have leveraged on, and I have brought it into my personal life, and I have extended it to everyone around me. So, for example, I have my laptop, right? As a person, I can now understand the way my laptop behaves, right? And in security, there's something we call baseline, which is like the usual behavior of things, right? So occasionally, if maybe I feel that, oh, my laptop is behaving in a way that I can't say IT audit and compliance. Yeah, I mean, so I see Michael says something about IT audit and compliance. Well, IT audit is a field too, right? And that comes into cybersecurity too, because I mean, IT audit in itself actually is a department on its own, right? I mean, a lot of organizations will have audit as a standalone department. And then you have compliance as a standalone department, right? Now, when you think of compliance in two ways. You have the regulatory compliance that are not related to security, right? And then you have like security compliance. So in security, you have a security compliance because we have different bodies. Say, for example, you as a business, you have customers in Europe, right? Which means that you're subject to GDPR. GDPR is General Data Protection Regulation, right? It's a law, right, that any company that has customers in Europe would have to abide to. Right? So you as a compliance person, you need to be sure that your operations are in compliance to the requirements of these laws, right? Of this security compliance, you have a place in security. Also, IT audit, you have a place too in security, right? Because what you're doing is that you're looking out, you're reviewing processes, you're looking out for things that could potentially be problems in security. So that could be a problem, right? So it's a very wide field. Like I said, there are a lot of domains. The other day I saw a tweet listing about 50 domains in cybersecurity, a lot of domains, right? So yeah, that's it. So yeah, I mean, I just have to address that, right? So coming back to hands-on practical. So cybersecurity is something that I've been able to leverage in my personal life, right? So for example, I'm going to show you something. So I have Kali. Okay, I'm not sharing my screen actually. So could you let me share my screen?
Yes, you can share now.
Okay, so yeah, so I want to show something, how cybersecurity is even important to me as a person. So can you see my screen? So this is a virtual machine that I've set up on my system, right? Now when this thing I'm trying to demonstrate is just basically how cybersecurity also applies to our individual lives, right? So yeah, you can see Zoom and all of these things on my laptop. So let's say as a person, I see that my laptop is behaving in a way, maybe my laptop is getting slower. I need to understand what's happening to my laptop, right? One thing I can do is I can open my my terminal, right? And then I do net start, right? And I do net start. So what net start does is it shows me the connections that my laptop is making. So when you think of net start is network statistics, right? Which is something that we do in enterprises, right? You need to know what your systems are talking to. You need to know the type of communication that is happening in your environment, right? So just draw that line between what I'm doing here and what actually happens in enterprises. So yes, my system is making connections to some things. In an enterprise, there will be connections to your internal network, connections out of the internal network, and all of those things, right? So I'm seeing the connections, and maybe I'm seeing something that I'm not familiar with, right? I'm seeing that my system is making a connection to this IP address. So this 34.107.243.93, right? How can I investigate that, right? In security, we also do investigation. So you've noticed that there's something wrong. The next thing is to investigate what that thing is all about, right? So yes, I've seen this IP address and it says that my system has established a connection to it. What can I do? I need to learn more about this IP address. So I pick the IP address, right? I copy it, and then we have a tool that we use in security, right? We call it it's actually it's a free tool, IP let me see, abuse IPDB rather. This thing is okay. Let me just take this off. So abuse IPDB. So if I come here and then I come to this abuse IPDB, remember I copied an IP address, right? So I just put the IP address and then I check. So this is also, so I see that says that this IP address is found in a database. So this could be trouble, really. It says that it's been reported 146 times, and the confidence of abuse is 46. So in my environment, in my lab environment, this is my lab environment, actually, right? So in my lab environment, say that my laptop is making a connection to something, and this thing has been reported. So I mean, if you bring this to your to an organization, this is typically how it happens, right? You're seeing a connection in your environment to an IP address, and then you have to investigate that IP address, right? One of the tools that you can use is this abuse IPDB, and then it tells you that, oh, it's been reported, and then you say, oh, okay, this could be trouble, and then you say, who is this IP address? So you see that you begin to see it says it's actually a Google IP address, like it's assigned to Google, but why has it been reported? But it's out of so yeah, it's a Google IP address, right? But maybe there has been some issues of spam from this IP address, right? And that's why it's been reported. So one other thing that you can do is to come to so you can come to Virus Total, which is also a free tool, right? And then you come to Virus Total. Okay, you've seen that it's been reported. Let's see what other engines are saying about the IP address. This is taking some time to load. So if I come to search and I put the IP address, so let me search and see what's happening. Good. So this also says that you can see says it's a Google Cloud platform. However, VirusTotal has a lot of antivirus engines, so you can see some of the things you're used to here. You can see there are a lot of security security engines. So you can see Fortinet, which is a firewall. You can see Juniper. All of these are security engines, right? And it's saying that they have all ascertained that this IP address is clean. However, Abuse IPDB is telling me that it's been reported. So it could be a case of spam, right? And then I cannot make a decision based on what I've seen, right? So I can say, okay, I don't want this IP address to be communicating with my environment. What can I do? I cannot go ahead and block the connection, right? If you're in an environment, if you're in an enterprise, you can go ahead and even apply some rules on your firewall to block it. But it's just so it's to tell you that yes, as much as these things are happening in enterprises, you can bring them closer to you, and then you can even do some hands-on things. So imagine I'm in an interview now and they tell me that what are some of the things that I've done? I can say, for example, that well, in my own lab environment, I'm able to monitor traffic within my environment, and I'm able to analyze using some of these free resources like Abuse IPDB, Virus Total, to tell if an IP address is malicious or not, which will now inform my decision either to block or to permit connections, right? So just imagine, just something very relatable, right? But in enterprises, it's the same concept, just the same concept, right? But just bringing it closer to you, you can see that it's not a big deal. These processes are very relatable, and it doesn't matter your skill set now, you can get started and you can be great at it. So yes, I think with that, I'll just stop sharing my screen, and yeah, I think with that, we've come to the end of the slides.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. I guess I'll take over from here so that I will walk people through how they can be able to actually, transition into this exact cybersecurity with us here at Analytics. So thank you so much, Michael. I think you've done an amazing job, right? Not I think, you have actually done an amazing job, right? So if you are still with us up till this moment, please can you just drop something in the chat box so that I will drive on and communicate to us everything that we need to know regarding transitioning. Okay, so that I will know that people are here with us. Okay, I can see thank you, Michael. I can see thank you, Michael. That's amazing. Please keep it coming so that I will be sure that people are here. If you want to type a 1 to signify that you're still here with us, please do so that I'll be sure that the 60 people that we have on this call are still right here with us up till this moment. Fantastic. I can see a couple of comments dropping in. Okay, thank you, one. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mike. Amazing. So people like Michael, are part of the facilitators that we bring into the class to teach you what you need to know regarding cybersecurity. And these are people that have the real life experience because that's their day-to-day job. They function in the aspect of information security, GRC, any angle, so they can easily, help you, isolate the area you want to be in and help you transition. Okay, so practical steps on how you can get your journey started, right? So first of all, is for you to identify your target role, right? So, but I'm happy that most people here, initially when we're starting, we all said that we want to be able to, understand cybersecurity, be an expert in cybersecurity. So we've already ticked off the first level of transitioning to the tech ecosystem, right? So you've already decided that I want to be a cybersecurity expert, right? The next step for you is to educate yourself, get practical experience, develop employability skills, networking, mentorship, and you are a full-fledged cybersecurity analyst, right? So I'm going to walk us through everything that we need to know before 10 p.m. tonight. Just stay on the call so that I'll walk us through how we can, get started and transition easily. So Michael has said a lot of things regarding cybersecurity. So I don't think there's anybody that's on this call at this moment that do not understand what cybersecurity is all about, right? So is there anyone on this call that does not understand what cybersecurity is all about at this exact moment, right? I doubt that, okay? So I'm going to drive on. So here at Analytics, we have 13 major areas that we are going to walk you through when you join the cybersecurity program, right? And like we all know, cybersecurity is a very, very lucrative job. The average salary in UK here is $57,000, £50,000. In Canada, is as high as 140,000 Canadian dollars, and in US, is 105,000 US dollars. Then, what are the key learning areas that you are going to take out from once you join Analytics, right? So we are going to start you off with foundations of computing and networking, right? Because sometimes when people want to transition into the cybersecurity, people don't even understand, okay, what is RAM, what is ROM, what is CPU, what is mouse, and as the case may be. So we are going to walk you through that basic foundations of computing and of course networking, where you get to understand what is IP addresses, right? Because it's one thing for someone that has minor knowledge to want to transition. Is another thing for someone that is fully coming from a non-technical background that wants to transition. So that's why we've made sure that we start from that beginner level stage. Okay, we are going to walk you through that basic aspect of computing and networking before we move into the introduction to cybersecurity, where you get to understand the evolution of cybersecurity. Okay, how did cybersecurity come about and where are we today? And then we move into information security principles, right? So I think I saw in the chat box when someone asked, which of these areas are we going to be teaching you, right? So what we are going to do is to make sure that we ground you in all the areas that you need to be in, right? So the way Michael walked us through how to analyze and look at the IP that your system is communicating with, that's how you are going to be taught other practical aspects also in class that will make you to fully function as a SOC analyst, right? And you're also going to see from number 4 thing that we have here, which is information security principle, where we'll walk you through the ISO standard, ISO 27001, walk you through NDPR, GDPR, what are these things? If you're in UK, definitely you're going to be playing the aspect of GDPR. If you're in Nigeria, you're going to be playing in the aspect of NDPR. So this is you also playing with respect to governance, risk, and compliance, right? So we are going to scratch all those necessary areas that you need to know. And then once you are done training, you can now specialize in an area. Oh, NDPA, thank you, Rosemont. I think that act was enacted last year. Thank you for that. Fantastic. I have a lawyer in the house to correct me. Amazing. So from it, we now move on to offensive and defensive cyber security, and then cryptographic basic, cyber threats and attack vectors. We move on to network security and endpoint security, then web and application security, cloud security, and of course, incident response and forensics, and the necessary cyber security career paths and certifications that you need to know. If you notice clearly, the certification aspect is the last, right? And this is part of the mistake that people make when they want to transition. So you see someone that do not have basic understanding of what do I do? How do I trace IP? How do I analyze IP? What's ISO? What's NDPA? they do not know, but you've seen them, try to get certification so that they'll get into the industry with certification. But the tech ecosystem is what we call is a skill and competence-based environment, which means that for any role you're trying to get into with respect to tech, there must be a skill and competence assessment stage, right? So what it means is that you will assess based on your skill and not based on the certification that you've gathered over the years. And for here at Analytics, the program runs for complete 4 months, right? Where you learn immersively in the class for 3 months. Okay, you are going to learn the classroom for 3 months on all these key learning areas that we've highlighted. And then 1 month, you have undergo an internship program to work on real life projects that you can put in your portfolio. And the classes run on Saturdays by 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time, and on Sundays by 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. West African time. And why should you exactly train with us, right? So we've blended our curriculum to fit the standard here in Africa, UK, US, everywhere. And one thing about tech is that tech is global, right? The way you analyze IP address here in Nigeria, the same way it's been analyzed in UK. The way you can use, abuse IPDP, or you want to use NetStart, or you want to use Virus Total, that's the same way it's used globally, right? So there is no limitations, right? So if you learn this thing maybe in UK, you can comfortably play in that ecosystem, and then if you learn in Africa, you can comfortably learn. And that's how we've helped over 2,000 people to transition, right? Because we've blended our teaching to be real life and case study basis. And then another area is the curriculum, right? Like I mentioned, we bring in facilitators from industries, which means if there is any emerging threats in that ecosystem, they are at the top of their game. They've already seen it on the job, and they're coming into the class to teach you these things also. And of course, we have the blended training model where you are going to have a live facilitator like myself or Michael come into the class and teach you live and direct, right? And these classes will also be recorded and uploaded to your Google Classroom or the learning management system, right? So at any point you have recourse to go back to any of them to watch the video, you can always do it, and you have lifetime access to that video, which means maybe you're on the job and you have need to learn, okay, how do I even make use of NetStart to analyze the IPs that my system is communicating with? You can easily go back to your classroom, watch the video, and jump right back into the job you are doing. And of course, our sessions are tailored to help you land your first job, right? They are tailored to help you land their first job. And it doesn't stop there. We've created a 3-level approach, which we call our employability services, to make sure that you land your first job after you are done training with us. And it starts with CV review sessions. So what do we do here? After we've given you the skill and competence that you need to function as a cybersecurity, another thing now is to how do we communicate who you are to the general public? Okay, because one thing about CV is that CV is just like a walking signboard of you. And if you don't blend it fully to represent who you are, people will not get to know you. Your CV is going to get to that exact company before you get there. So what we do is we teach people how to structure their CV so that it's ATS compliant. So at any point, you can easily structure your CV to meet the standard of that exact job requirement. And also teach people how to bring in transferable knowledge from your initial area into the exact cybersecurity you're trying to be in. Like we mentioned, there is no exact domain that doesn't have a path to cybersecurity. I know someone mentioned what happens when you are in medicine, right? You want to transition to cybersecurity and you're in medicine. I believe if you're in medicine, there is a higher possibility of you understanding human behaviors, right? And if you understand that aspect of human behavior, there's higher tendency of you being able to build a more secure platform because you already understand possibly psychology as the case may be, right? So there is always a transferable threat from your initial domain into this exact cybersecurity. And we also carry out LinkedIn optimization session and Upwork optimization session that if you want to play in the freelance area where you want to be in Nigeria and you're working for companies in US or Canada, that's the exact place that you need to be in. So once we have trained you in this exact area, you can comfortably build your own profile and be able to navigate all those platforms. And of course, how do you navigate the job market? There's a session that we had yesterday where we invited recruiters in Canada, US, and of course, Africa to speak to people, right? So what we do is that because these guys are already in the market, we tend to bring them in-house to also talk to our students on the things that they need to do. What and what do I need to do for me to be able to land this extra job? And we also carry out job and interview prep sessions where if you get an interview invite, you book a session with us where people like myself or Michael will get to grill you and drill you with questions to that once you get to that exact interview the next day or as the case may be, you are going to experience the same thing that you were asked. How do you use the sit-up approach to answer? Tell me about yourself. How do I use the STAR approach to answer behavioral questions? These are things that you are going to be taught in our employability services section. And of course, we also provide recommendation letter and reference letter. So what we do, what we tell our students is that once you join analytics, you are fully sort of a contractor or a consultant. So all the projects that you have worked on, what we're going to comfortably say is that when you are consulting with analytics, you worked on so projects. And we are always here to provide that exact reference letters and recommendation letter to back all these things up. The level 2 section of this employment services is our weekly mentorship session. So we have the session on Thursdays by 10 p.m., like 10 p.m. to 11 p.m., where we talk to students on the emerging threats. Like we also talk to them, okay, a day in the life of a cybersecurity analyst, a day in the life of a SOC analyst, a day in the life of a GRC, where we bring in people in this exact fields to come into class and also talk you through this different domain so that you get to understand the nitty-gritty of all these areas. And of course, the on-the-job support, where even if you get a job 1 month into that exact job and you don't have your footing yet, we are also available to help you for 1 month till you can fully stand firm on that exact job. And then that comes the level 3, which is our promise to you that once you are done training with us, 1 month after this, you are definitely going to land a job invite. And that's because we have tailored initiatives that we are using. For example, number 3, we've partnered with recruiters across agencies in UK, Havinash, Michael Page, Conferry, where they reach out to us and ask for some certain students. For example, I think yesterday it was Scotland that we received requests for 2 data analysts, right? So because we have pool of our students that are done, we tend to send those guys to the recruiters for the interview. And also have the enhanced internship experience where you get to work on real life projects that you can comfortably put in your portfolio. And of course, the body mentorship hub, where we bring in past students that have already finished their own course with us back to class to tell you, okay, this is the challenge I faced as a student. This was how I navigated it, so that you will not get to face that exact same issue. And then the other opportunities which are also present in respect to playing in the freelance area, working fully remote. Some people said, I want to be able to work remotely as a cybersecurity analyst. These are things that you also get to have in the classes. Okay, and there we'll teach you how to use Bulletin, Glassdoor, Upwork, Indeed, Wellfound, Remote.co to access this job with respect to remote area. Okay, so the next thing basically is, how do I get started? Right, so at the moment, you are lucky to be here because the next class is starting in the next 2 weeks. That's June 8th. And we have an early bird discount currently for you. So the actual amount for cybersecurity is $750 and then £725, 730 euros, 1,125 Canadian dollars, and 900,000 naira. But we have curated a discount for you, 20% discount by virtue of you being here. And that means you get to pay $600, £500, 580 euros, 900 Canadian dollars, and 720,000 naira. And if you want to be able to secure these slots, but you don't have the full amount, we have 2 instrumental payment options where you get to pay $400 or £350 or 400 euros or 600 Canadian dollars or 500,000 naira and secure this your exact slot. Then 1 month into the program, which means if you're starting by June 8th, you're expected to make the first payment. Then 1 month into that exact program, you can make the second instrumental payment. And what I've noticed over the couple of months we've been doing cybersecurity is that this exact discount is not total for everyone. It's for the first 30 people to join this exact cybersecurity. And once that 30 is filled up, the discount is off. Right? Once it's filled up, the discount is off. And people always say, okay, your pricing is high, so I'm going to just address it. As at March, we sold this for 450,000 naira. That then we have a 50% discount, right? As at May, as at April, we sold it for 600,000 naira. Then we had a 33% discount. As at now, we are selling it for 720, which is a 20% discount. So we all know how the economy is, and there is higher tendency that the price you are seeing right now may not also be the price you see tomorrow. So I always advise people to take advantage of the pricing at the exact point that they meet it so that they can easily get into the class. So next thing is, how do I make this payment? So my colleague is going to drop the main stack link in the chat so they can see, can use it to make payments. But I'm going to walk us through how we can use the main stack link for making payments. So simply click on the link that my colleague is going to drop in the chat box. Once you click on it, it's going to take you to the Analytics enrollment page, right? It will take you to the Analytics enrollment page. So I'm going to bring that up immediately, right? So, this is the Analytics enrollment page, and you are going to scroll down to the cybersecurity area, right? Scroll down, and you are going to see the cybersecurity option. Click on it, okay? Once you click on it, next thing is that the system is automatically going to select the exact place you are joining us from. Because I'm currently in Nigeria, it's speaking NG, and that's Naira. So if you're in UK, you are going to see your own option in pounds. If you're in US, you're going to see it in dollars. If you're in Canada, you're going to see it in CA, and so on and so forth, right? So once you click on, automatically you have the 720, but if you want to use the first option, you can now put in that 500,000 naira here, and then click on reserve a seat. Okay, it's still scanning. All right, it's all clean. Click on reserve a seat. Once you click it, it's going to bring out the checkout option. Simply put your name, Chukwemeka Ikpa, your email address, chukwemekaikpa@gmail.com, and then your company, the country you are trying to make the payments from. I'm currently in Nigeria. Then your phone number, 70377098878, and then you simply proceed. So once you've done this, you are going to see the option to check out your payment. So if you want to use your card to make the payment, simply put your card details, your card, everything, and click on pay. If you want to use the transfer option, simply click on transfer. You're going to see the bank account to make payments, pay stack Titan, copy it, and go to your account and make the payments, right? Once you are done with this, the next thing that you need to do right now is to simply go back to the initial enrollment center that you joined from. So go back to that enrollment center so that you can upload your payment receipt, right? So once you go back, you can easily scroll down on that enrollment page. I'm going to bring it up now so that we can also see it. Okay, so once you've made payment, simply go back to the enrollment center, scroll down, you are going to see the option for you to upload your receipt. So once you click on it, you will instantly follow the process, put in your name, put in the program you are joining, and then simply click on submit, and all correct. As simple as that. Okay, so I'm going to bring up my screen. My colleague have dropped the payment link. So just use that option and click it and also get to make payments. Like I mentioned before now, the class is currently discounted for the first 30 people to join the program. And it's not always like this. So I always advise people to take advantage of the discount at any point they see it. You can scan my screen, the barcode on my screen, and it's going to direct you to the link for this exact payment. All right. So once you've done this, someone from here is going to reach out to you. All right. So don't forget this cohort is starting on June 8th, June 8th of 2024. So make sure that you join this exact cohort starting in the couple of weeks coming up. At this point, I don't know if anyone has any question. You can drop it in the chat box. You can use the raise hand icon, and I'm going to ask you to unmute so that we can take your question. All right, so I'm going to go through the chat box to know if we have any question. But if you also want to, speak to us, you can use the raise hand icon, and I'll ask you to unmute. All right, so I'm going to check. Why did it include the average salary in Nigeria? Oh, fantastic, Blossom. The truth is that with respect to salary structure in Nigeria is that people are always, not, disclosing what they earn. Here is very hard to get that exact information here in Nigeria. And it doesn't make any sense trying to give information that we cannot 100%, certify. But I can assure you that cybersecurity experts, they earn massively here in Nigeria. See people like Michael. Today, Michael is in Nigeria. Tomorrow is in Jamaica. Next time he's in Kenya. So that should tell you that he's not a small person. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go through what we have. Any class for hacking system, amazing Blossom. So we are going to teach you, how to analyze all these things. We are going to teach you how to attacking vectors, attacking threats, and others. But that exact hacking side may not be what we might, go deeply into. Most offices don't use Splunk. It's either CM you throw more light on. Okay, Michael, are you there? I know we use a couple of SIM tools. Michael, are you there?
Yes,
okay.
yes, I'm here.
All right. So Blossom is asking for some of the SIM tools that we are using, so that I can just answer her on that before we move ahead.
Okay. So I mean, there are a number of SIM tools, right? I know there's Exabeam, there's like Sumology Cloud SIM, we have like Secure SIM, Synchronix SIM. I mean, the more ancient ones would be like the ArcSight and the Alien Vault. So there are a number of SIM tools that are in use, right? I mean, this is not a marketing call, so we're not going to be promoting any SIM tool, right? But essentially, would be focused on cloud SIMs, right? So cloud-based SIMs that we can leverage to collect logs, correlate logs, and then to make decisions and even respond to events. So yeah, I think I've been able to answer that.
All right, fantastic. So lastly, someone is also asking the system requirements to install Kali Linux. All right, so to install Kali Linux, what's the system requirement? That's from Shei Oseni.
Okay, so to install Kali Linux, well, you can start with, first off, I would always advise that your system uses SSD, but I mean, even if you use HDD, it's still fine, right? So Kali Linux in itself will require maybe about 20 to 40 gig of storage, right? So your system should be able to allocate that on your system, and then Kali Linux will require at least, I mean, it's at least 2, but I mean, maybe 3 gig of RAM, right? So it means that for you to be able to run Kali Linux, you should be looking at maybe 256 gigabyte of storage. Hopefully you have like some space, right? The Kali Linux will now be able to take up to 40 gig of, and then you should be able to have maybe 8 gig RAM, right? And then you can now allocate about maybe 3 gig to Kali Linux. And then you could be using like one of these systems with maybe 8 cores or maybe 4 cores or whatever, right? And then you can now associate like 2 cores to Kali Linux. So yeah, that's it from like the hardware perspective. But I mean, generally, a lot of people use maybe 512 gig storage, 8 gig RAM, and maybe like maybe some cores, maybe like from 8 cores, right? But yeah, that's typically.
All right, thank you so much. I hope you got that, Osheni. All right, so Blossom, you're asking about the cost, so I'll run through it again. The cost, the discounted amount is $600, 500 pounds, 580 euros, 900 Canadian dollars, and then 720,000 naira. You can make the payments in 2 installments, making the first one to secure your slot. Right? And what happens most times is that we are sitting on this call, some are already securing their spots, right? Is to use the first payment option to lock down the exact pricing. And then 1 month into the program, you can now decide to make the second payments. Okay, I don't know if that makes sense to you, Blossom. Someone also asked for the timing for the classes. It's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time on Saturday. And then on Sundays, it is 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. West African time. Okay, that's so me. So I hope you got that. LO is asking, can Saturday classes commence by 4 p.m. Nigeria time if it's okay? All right, so what we also do sometimes is that once we come into everyone is in the class can decide, okay, this is the time that can work for everyone. But our proper time is 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., 2 p.m. on Saturday and 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. And this is because we have people that join from Canada. Their mountain time is entirely different, right? So those guys are on their own. So we tend to, put it in the middle, which is that 11 to 2, that even if you're in Canada, if your timing is +9 or -9, as case may be, it will at least be a little bit convenient for you, right? Can we get the cost part? Some of us wake up by 4 a.m. Fantastic, Blossom. I believe maybe you are in Canada, right? So this is the cost again. I don't know if you are still there, Blossom, but this is the cost right here on my screen. Okay, let me keep checking the chat. Hi, I came late. Just wish to find out if the program has the GRC domain included in deeper perspective. All right, so the program has GRC aspects embedded, right? So when you talk about information security principles, right, that's basically the full area that GRC plays in. Because once you understand ISO 27001, that's for information security, I understand NGPA or GDPR, depending on your location, can comfortably function with respect to that area of GRC. Okay, that's from Lionel. And then George is asking, seeking for sponsorship. I'm very much interested. Amazing, George. So as at March, like I mentioned, we had a sponsorship because it was International Women's Day. And then we also had 300 slots open for women, sponsored 50% discounted, and then 50 slots open for men, 50% discounted. And as at now, we do not have any scholarship or sponsorship ongoing, but we have the 20% discount at the moment. And I assure you, this is actually a great time to transition with respect to cybersecurity. I don't know if that makes sense to you, George. What is the best recommended certification exam for cybersecurity? All right, Chidi, like we mentioned before now, we tend to give people the full skill and competence before we start talking about certification. And that's why you may not have heard us speak about certification, because we first of all give you the skill and competence before you can now decide to start doing CompTIA plus plus or SOC or SEEC plus, as the case may be. But first, we are going to give you the skill and competence that you need. Do you have working sessions, and when? Okay, no, John, all our sessions are fully virtual, right? So they are live classes that you will have teachers teach you the way Michael was teaching on Saturdays and Sundays. We do not have any physical presence in any country. And this is because we play across the globe, right? We can't say we're in UK or can't say we're in Canada, but we have facilitators in all this area. We also have students and we also have staff across all this area. On the form, I saw 2 dates, 8 June and July. Is there an opening in July? All right, thank you, Rosemont. So we always have new cohorts join us every first Saturday of a new month, right? So your cohort is going to be June cohort starting on June 8th. But if you want to be in the July cohort, or after you've made payments, you can see the option to defer for 1 month. And this is what I also advise people that want to join in July, but they want to make use of the price as at now. So you can make payments now, defer it for 1 month, and then lock down the exact pricing. Okay, I can see that you've raised your hand, Rosemond. So I'm going to ask you to unmute so that you can speak directly to us. Hi, Rosemond, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. I was just about to repeat the question that I already typed. Since I wasn't being called, but yes, thank you for answering the question. And great class, by the way. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rosemond. You are the lawyer, right? So you already know that you're going to play massively in the aspect of GRC as the case may be. All right, fantastic, Rosemond. Okay, so let me check for other questions. If you want to speak to us, you can use the raise hand icon and we are going to ask you to unmute. If you don't want to speak, you can drop your question in the chat box and then we are going to pick it up from there. All right, we've approached the 10 p.m. West African time, and I'm going to play one success story video, and then we'll start wrapping up the day, right? So the things that we need to know is that here at Analytics, we give you the skill, the competence, and then the employability skills that you also need. For someone like Ini, that I can see on my screen, Ini has over 10 years experience with respect to IT, but he's not been able to transition. So when he joined, the area that made him love us so much was the employability services side, because he was taught how to isolate his CV, how to job match it to things he's applying to, and then he went for a managerial role interview and he was given a CEO role in that exact company, right? And this because he already has that experience. So he just needed, brush up with respect to CV panel beating, and then brush him up with respect to confidence. And then he went for a managerial role and he came back as the CEO of that company. So, when we say some of these things, people think it's not actually possible, but it is 100% possible. And that's because for the past 4 years, we've been playing in this exact industry, and we have a lot of success stories from our past students to speak with respect to this area. For someone like Tony landed a job as a business analyst with NHS. Shane on the right-hand side landed a job as a fraud analyst in UK, where he prevents credit card frauds. And then Olubemi landed a job as a BA with Law Depot in Canada. So we have amazing, success stories from our past students. So I'm just going to play the success story from Ikmat. And that's because I believe she had a great impact with respect to how she was able to transition personally. So I'm going to bring up her screen so that we get to hear what Ikmat had to say with respect to her own transition. Okay, it's coming up right now. Fantastic. Oh, I didn't select sound. So I'm going to share it again so that we get to hear what she had to say. Okay, it's coming up now. Share sound and share.
Hi everyone, my name is Ikmat, and I was with the World in Analytics, and joining Analytics has been the best decision so far. For me, someone coming from a background of full housewife, because I had to stay back home to look after my child for 4 years, and then wanting to break into something new, wanting to go back into the workforce, wanting to place myself in the society for better job opportunities. So it was a lot. And then I'm glad that Analytics came along, and then they presented me with so many opportunities right in front of me, better opportunities. And then I'm glad I took it. And then also the advice of do not sell yourself short, that Effie is always saying, it is very, very valid, because place yourself right, don't sell yourself short. It's a very, very, very valid advice. In Analytics, they will hold your hands like a child, through the modules. You have the opportunity to go back and study. You have the opportunity to go back and practice. You have the opportunity to ask questions. We have people you can always go back to, even outside of class hours. It's the most amazing experience so far, really. And then another thing is the interview prep, guys. That is another very important thing. I did my interview prep with Mr. Mohammed, and it is the best decision ever, because it was like he saw into the future. He knew what was going to be asked. And I'm glad that I wrote down all the things he mentioned. I went back to practice, and then when it was time for the interview, it was like everything he mentioned, it was just, they kept on. And then when I was answering those questions, I was so confident, because I already practiced. I did an Excel test, I did a maths test, and then they were really impressed. And another thing is, guys, it may not come as fast as you expect. Definitely, you are going to get some no's, and then you may begin to think you're not good enough. You are good enough, yes. The no's will come, but always take it as a basis for learning and development, because after every interview where I got a no, I always make sure I get a personal feedback. So I work on those feedbacks for my next interviews. And yes, it worked. It really worked for me, because I got my first job 3 months into the program, my first job. But I couldn't take up the job because I was a student and I was only eligible to work 20 hours. So I couldn't take up the job. 3 months later, I got 2 jobs with full visa sponsorship. And guys, all the other no's before the 2 jobs prepared me for the yeses I got. So yes, the no's will come, but do not give up, because you always have the analytics to go back to. They are the best and the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then yes, and they are the most affordable. The most affordable one I've come across so far. And that's a very good advantage. So yes, the analytics for the win.
All right, fantastic. So what I always like talking about Ikmat is that the way she always describes herself as someone that transitioned from being a full-time housewife into landing 2 tech jobs, right? So that's how she describes herself. And that should tell you that if Ikmat can do it, you can do it. Because hers is that she has been at home for 4 years, not doing anything. And then she transitioned from being a full-time housewife into getting 2 jobs that they were all visa sponsored for her. So, and this happened when she was still a student in UK. I think 1 month after her program, she was still in class and she got those jobs, but she wasn't able to take it up because of the limitation with working hours. But then 3 months after she finished again, she now got 2 other offers that she now had to make decision of, okay, this is where I want to be, or this is the one I don't want to do. Imagine being able to make that choice over there in UK. All right. So this is what we always tell people. It is possible, right? It is possible to be done. We also have lawyers that have transitioned. We have medical doctors that have transitioned, and they are all on this slide. Or you can also go to our YouTube channel, just simply search the analytics, and you are going to see amazing success stories from past students, from present students, everything that they had to say regarding us. Okay, so we are going to start calling it a day from here. If you have any question at this point, you can still use the raise hand icon, or you can drop it in the chat box, and we are going to pick it before we close the calendar. What are the aspects or areas in cybersecurity where you don't have to code at all? Samsung SM, I don't know if you joined us from the beginning, but what Michael clearly said is that cybersecurity, most of the time, you may not actually, play respect to the coding aspects unless you want to start, going high deeper into it. So I'm just quickly going to run you through some of the things that we do. That's the code team A and the team B, which has to do the red team and the blue team, right? So basically, the blue team most of the times they don't do anything coding related, and that has to do with vulnerability management, security operations, identity and access management, security monitoring and incident response, and of course, the GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. So we have a lot of blue roles that you can easily fit in without even writing a single line of code. Okay, I live in Germany. I'm interested in this course, but the class time is not going well with my schedule. What should I do, please? Hi, Freddie. So because the classes are structured for you to have live classes and also the recorded version of that class, right? So it means that even if you have a reason to miss a class, you can always go back to watch that video of that exact session, right? And we have what we call drop-in session within the week, that just 1 hour within the week, the students and the facilitator come back together for the student to now ask questions. Okay, I was trying to do this that you did in class over the weekend and I had this challenge. What do you advise that I do? So don't let timing to actually be an issue for it, because the truth is, it is hard to find a timing that fits every single person that wants to take this course, right? Because we all live in different time zones. You are in Germany, some people are in Canada, some people are in US, some people are in UK. So the timing is definitely going to differ. But then, if this is where you want to be, there's always going to be that pain point that you have to, go through before you come out. Like we always say, gold is not always amazing at the beginning until it's passed through fire. So just take this as that exact fire that you need to pass through for it to come out, amazing at the other end. But I assure you, Freddie, the recorded version is as good as the classes. So even if you have any reason to miss a class, can always watch that exact live recorded version of it and then ask questions with respect to areas that you don't understand. And then the facilitator will answer that exact questions for you. After 3 months of training, what happens? And do we get to have a one-on-one coach that will carry someone along? So that's from Wilma. So Wilma, after 3 months of training, even within that 3 months that you are training, we have the body mentors that come into class so that they can, mentor you on how to, journey in this exact area. And you also have real-time live access to them. So you can always converse with them. You can always communicate with them. They are your own personal, initial mentor with respect to this area. And some of us, we struggle to, transition into the tech ecosystem because we never had tech mentors. We just, anything that comes out, MongoDB, we'll jump out and learn. Looker, we'll jump out and learn. Nobody really said, this is what you need to learn, and this is how you need to move. But we've made it possible for you to have all those body mentors, expert mentors, come into class and speak to you. And of course, you have access to them that anything you want to ask them, you can, always ask them those questions. Okay, I think I've done justice to all the questions in the chat box. Like I mentioned, the best time to always to transition into tech is right now, because you might feel, oh, the pricing is not accommodating for me. I may have to, wait for now. Tomorrow, it might be too late. In context, in March, this exact program sold for $450. In April, it sold for $600. And here in May, it's selling for $720. You can't really tell what's going to happen next. So I always advise people to take advantage of this exact time and get into the tech ecosystem right now. Okay, guys, thank you for being with us till this exam moment. This is 10:15 p.m. West African time, and we are going to be calling it a day from here. Thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to see you all in class come June 8th. Remember, the best time to get into tech is now, and time waits for no one. Okay, guys, thank you once more, and have a wonderful night's rest. See you in class, and bye for now, guys. Cheers.